I wanted to speak a little bit about childhood trauma and how it affects our mental health as adults, young adults, old adults like me. When we are young children, and one, if not both, of our parents are narcissists, this has a profound effect on us. Now, again, as a disclaimer, I'm not a psychiatrist nor a psychologist, but I have studied extensively. And I see a therapist. I have for a couple of years, and we've done some pretty hard work. So I'm speaking specifically for me, but I'm willing to bet that you identify with a lot. As small children, we look at our parents, or our parent, if it was a single parent, subconsciously as the loving provider. We're children. We instinctively rely on them for our safety, our clothing, our shelter, and our peace. Now, my computer screen just went out, excuse me. When that's disrupted as children, we don't know what to do with that. We can't process that. We do not yet have what's called a fight or flight mechanism. We can't just take off in our pajamas and piggy bank and hit the road. We're stuck there. And we have to find ways to survive. What's interesting is we don't even know that we're trying to survive. We're just too young. So when we're in that dysfunctional family, all we know is that person, or those people, are the ones that are setting an example, that should be showing us how the world really works. And we're craving peace, and we're not getting it. Now, the reason why this is so important is because we put that in our subconscious as children. We bury that. We stuff that down. It's a survival mode. Now, that may not come up again for many years. But for more people than not, it does come up again. And it affects us. And we may not even realize that it is affecting us, but it certainly does affect us later in life. It may affect us when we have our own relationships. A lot of adult children of narcissistic parents have troubled relationships. Is it any wonder why? No one taught us as young children what a healthy relationship was. That is, if you have a narcissistic parent. No one gave us the example of safety and peace and calmness. Eventually, that's going to come up. And it's up to us, unfortunately, to recognize when that comes up. It came up in me many times, and I didn't recognize what it was from. Now, I don't want to go back and blame everything on my parents. There comes a time where you're an adult and you make adult decisions. I certainly recognize that. However, at the core, there may be a lot going on from your childhood that was repressed. And something may be triggering it later on in your adult life, and you don't recognize it. This greatly affects our mental health as adults. And it's okay for you to say, my childhood really messed up some specific things. And if you're able to say that, I hope you're able to say, I've got to get some work done on this. I happen to think that children that come from narcissistic parents, when they're adults, benefit a great deal from therapy. And if you are seeking a therapist and you recognize that one or both your parents were narcissists, it's very important for you to, while interviewing a potential therapist, to understand if they have knowledge in narcissism. This is going to help you a great deal if they do. If they don't, keep looking. So, I guess what I'm trying to really communicate to you is that as small children, we had no choice. We had to survive. And the way we survived was suppressing that. But that will come up again. Something will trigger that. And again, I want you to know that it's important to love yourself. It's important that you realize, hey, what was done to me was wrong, it was sick, and it was abusive, and most of all, it was not my fault. But I'm now going to take responsibility and begin my journey to getting healthier. I'm going to identify to someone else. That someone else could be someone on YouTube. But start somewhere. I'm going to identify to someone else what happened. Because as a young child, I was not able to communicate that. And I was frightened and I was scared. I'll talk more about this later. Think about it, please. Good night.